Get ready for some WWF wrestling because Track 17 has announced that Techno's WWF Super Stars is coming to MiSTer. This is a wrestling game that featured a roster of wrestlers from the 80s along with their signature moves. Thanks to Grego2D, DJ Hardrick, and Track 17 for helping making this possible. Back in late June, Eric S5 released a new version of the Commodore 128 core to GitHub. Some notable changes to this update are: the Z80 CPU is now cycle correct and the Z80 mode memory layout is fixed. CPN should work. All Commodore 128 extra keys have been implemented. Check the README files keyboard section for the layout. And the VDC received a couple of small fixes. There is also another C128 core that gives the Commodore 128 upgraded capabilities. Developer Alina has forked Eric S5's core and has added features like expanding the memory management unit so it can address 128 pages or 8 megabytes of RAM. She's also working on replacing the current 6502 CPU core with a 65816 core. The goal for switching to this CPU core is to implement support for the Super CPU 64 and 128. The Super CPU is a processor upgrade for the C64 and C128 released in 1997, a couple of years after the C64 was discontinued. Some games did take advantage of the Super CPU, a good example being Metal Dust. Alina is naming the core C128DX and describes it as a Commodore 128 with the features it should have had. A lot of the features Alina is adding are the things Commodore wanted to include, but marketing and timing didn't allow them to get done. You can obtain a build of the core and a lot more info on what's being added from Alina's GitHub. A lot of work has been done on the PCXT Core since I last spoke about it. Several beta versions have been released and it is now up to version beta 1.2. Some recent notable features that have been added are support for the low-tech EMS 2MB board. This is an 8-bit ISA expansion card that provides 2 MB of expanded memory to compatible computers. UART access was also fixed, video vectors were corrected, and SDC constraints for SD RAM. User Mills on the MiSTer FPGA forums has even gotten Windows 3.0 running on the core. Ikari Warriors is being developed for the MiSTer FPGA. Developer RNDMNK3, who is working on several SNK games, posted some pictures with the progress that's been made with the game. He's been quite busy. The core already boots on MiSTer, but there's glitches. It turns out a text layer glitch was due to a typo in the schematics. So text then started showing up properly. The dev then went on to fix the background scrolling layer. The next step was to use the SD RAM for storing background ROM tiles. And finally, we were shown a screen with the dev fixing bugs in the layer priority logic. Ikari Warriors is a vertically scrolling run-and-gun shooter developed by SNK and released in 1986. It was released for the arcades and later ported to home consoles and computers. It featured the same controls as SNK's Tank 3 arcade game, in which you move your character by moving the joystick just as you would any other game. However, if you want to control the direction your character faces, there was a rotary dial on the joystick itself that you would rotate to control that. This means that you can move forward with the joystick while facing backwards to shoot. I, however, feel the game could have played better using the Robotron approach and used twin sticks instead. But the game was still enjoyable and did become a commercial success for SNK. RNDMNK3 also posted a PCB of a bootleg version of Guerilla War. This board does not have any of the original board's custom chips, but were replaced with TTL logic. If the logic is correct on those TTL chips, RNDMNK3 says that they would be good candidates to implement into FPGA, getting us closer to our Guerilla War core. Guerilla War is another run-and-gun game from SNK. It plays just like Ikari Warriors using the same controller scheme and even has a similar setting, but Guerilla War featured much bigger sprites in the arcade version. In PlayStation Core developments, the developer keeps on fixing bugs for the next official release. The newest bug fixes involve issues in the CD controller reset command handling have been fixed. This in turn fixes a boot-up hang in Uketsuji Ochisoku 2. A GPU texture cache bug was fixed and this improves Eggs of Steel, and video RAM readout offset was corrected. This fixed the wrong colors in Dragon Ball Z's full motion videos. Jotego has released the Vigilante Core to the public. Released in 1988 and developed by Irem, Vigilante is a side-scrolling beat-em-up that takes place in New York City. You play a martial artist out to save a kidnapped woman. You mostly use punches and kicks to defeat enemies, but occasionally you can pick up nunchucks to help you along the way. This game is considered to be the spiritual sequel to Irem's Kung Fu Master, due to its very similar gameplay. The core can be obtained by downloading it manually from Jotego's JT Bin GitHub, or enable his public cores in the Update All script. Jotego has also done some maintenance fixes to the System 16 core. Dynamite Dukes had changing colors in Stage 2, and slowness in Golden Axe was fixed. A reminder that Jotego does not abandon his public cores. He still frequently does maintenance fixes on them. Right now, he's responsible for over 800 MRA files. Core developer Macro has added No Man's Land to his Universal Cosmic Series core. That is all the Z80 base games included in the core. Released in 1980 and developed by Gottlieb, No Man's Land is an arcade game where you take control of a tank and battle it out with other tanks. The goal is to destroy all enemy tanks so you can progress to the next level. So that's it for this episode. I provided links to all my sources in the description. Make sure you also check out RetroRGB.com to see my MiSTer News videos in blog form and to get more retro related content. If possible, support them on Patreon too. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like. And if you want to see more content like this, hit the subscribe button and its bell icon so you can get notified of future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you next time.